Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to whatever this is gonna be. This was originally supposed to be my Q&A video in which I respond to you guys' questions that you sent me on Instagram like a month and a half ago. However, a lot of things have transpired since then, and so I've decided to also do a little bit of a storytime life update and let you guys know exactly why it has taken me this long to sit down and film this Q&A, because it is September. And I put out that Q&A in like July. And I had full intentions of filming immediately and getting it out there and having it be like the next thing on my channel like right away. And then some wild things have happened. So the first part of this video is going to be a story time life update situation. I'm going to tell you all about our summer and how it has transpired and this series of unfortunate events that have happened to us. And then the second part of the video will be the Q&A. If you are interested in just the Q&A, as always, there will be timestamps on this video so that you can skip to that Q&A and you can even go question by question if you want to. I will not judge because I know you've probably been waiting for that Q&A. But of course, if you want to stick around and hear about our misfortunes and the crazy things that have happened, you know, I encourage it. So let's just get right into it. Let me start back in June. Yep, June. With our dog. So this you might already know if you subscribe to me and you've seen my day in the life that I put out back in late June, early July. I talk in that video about how our dog was having surgery. So that's kind of where the events of the summer began, was with us discovering a bump on Gypsy's back, which it was actually my sister's boyfriend who discovered it, and we thought it was a tick and then thought it was a cyst, and it turned out that it actually was not and that it needed surgery. And that was a huge shock to us. We were not expecting to be told that she needed surgery out of nowhere, and kind of emergency surgery at that. They wanted us to do it immediately, as quickly as we possibly could. So that was a scramble as far as finances, because if you have an animal, if you have a pet, you know that veterinary care is not cheap. So that was kind of something that we dealt with in mid-June. And that is a question I got for the Q&A, was just about that in general. So I am not going to address it further here, but that's where we began, was with that. Then the end of June rolls around. We noticed that the tires on my car were almost bald. Pretty bald, actually. Which was crazy because we had just put tires on my car in 2024. And so we were a little bit confused as to what was going on, but the assumption was that I needed an alignment on the car. And so what we did was we went and we bought a new set of tires for the car. They weren't brand spanking new. They were about like half life. So we bought them like at a discount just to get us through the rest of the year. And then the plan was have those put on, have the car aligned, and then we were going to buy some really nice winter studded snow tires for the upcoming winter season. I thought that was a great plan. Brandon thought that was a great plan. So we said, okay, let's go and get these tires. We bought them from like a reputable person, a reputable seller. Brandon picks them up, gets him in the car, and then he's like, okay, this weekend we're gonna go and have the car aligned. Perfect. The next day, he's on his way home from work. He is in the last stretch of his commute home, and the right front tire blows on the car, the old tire. Thank goodness he was not on the highway. He was on our road, which isn't like a super slow road, but he was not doing like 75 miles an hour. He was doing like maybe 45 miles an hour. So that was good. So the tire blows and I'm like, wow, how lucky that we just bought these tires like yesterday and they're ready to go and we're going to be getting them put on this weekend. Thankfully the spare, you know, we had a full-size spare and we have that and that'll last us till the weekend, and you know, that was just super lucky. And I honestly just shouldn't have said anything at that point because this is where the luck just completely runs out entirely. So we make an appointment with VIP, which I am admittedly not a fan of VIP because the last time I went to VIP, they actually broke a sensor on my car, and they refused to admit that they did it, and they made us pay $80 to replace it. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. But they were the only ones open on a Sunday, which we were not available on Saturday, if you're wondering. I cannot remember what was going on, but we had something a prior commitment for Saturday. So they were open on Sunday. They had availability in like the early afternoon. Brandon was like, it's 7 minutes down the road. This was a different location than we had previously gone to. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. Let's just do it. Get this done. We don't want to be running on the spare too long. We don't want to wear the spare down and then have, you know, even more problems. We'll stick with VIP. So Sunday rolls around. Brandon brings the car to VIP at like noon that day. And he's like, it should take like an hour and a half. I'll keep you updated. The car goes in on time. Everything is going good. Brandon's texting me. He's like, yep, they're almost done. I'm going to be heading home. He gets home, walks in the door, and he's like, I got to turn around and go back after I eat lunch. And I was like, why? The car is not aligned. I can tell it's not aligned. I was driving home and I could just pull into the right again. Like it's definitely not aligned. So I need to go back. So he calls them, he tells them he's coming back. They're like, hey, yeah, okay, that's fine. It might be a wait because we've got other cars we're working on now. Like, obviously, there were other appointments. And he's like, no problem. So he goes back and he waits like 45 minutes before they can even get him in. And they confirm that the alignment wasn't done properly and that the car is still not aligned. So he texts me, he's like, it should be not super long. They're just doing this alignment and then I should be good to go. He calls me again. Like 20 minutes later, and he's like, well, they just came out and they told me that they broke a bolt on the car. And I was like, what kind of bolt did they break on my car? And he goes, I don't know yet. They're trying to figure out if they have it in stock. So he calls me back about 10 minutes later and he says they have confirmed that it was a factory bolt that they broke. They have to get it from a Toyota dealer. Now, in Maine, car dealerships are closed on Sundays, and so the Toyota dealers in the area were not available that day. And so the car was effectively disabled. They couldn't do anything about it. It was stuck. It couldn't drive. It's just dead in the water. So they tell Brandon this, and he's like, okay, well, you know, can I get a ride back to my house? Because we don't have another car. This was our only car. It's our family car, and then also it's Brandon's commuter for work. And so he tells them this, explains this, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't do that, so you got to figure out a way home. So he calls me, and he's like, so I'm stuck at VIP, and everybody we know that could go and get him is like a 45 to hour drive away. And yeah, VIP was absolutely refusing to provide him any kind of transportation, even though they were the ones that broke the car. Apparently it's not in their policy and they don't do that. So thankfully the guy that was working on my car happened to be getting off of his shift and he felt awful, which we don't blame him because things happen, mechanics, you know, things break. He offered to drive Brandon home. So that was very nice of him. He drives him home. He's so apologetic, which Brandon was like, I get it. Like, Brandon used to work on cars. He did car electronics for years. Like, mistakes happen. He's like, dude, don't worry about it. Thank you so much for driving me home. That was incredibly nice of you. So the following day is Monday. He had to take the day off because he had no way of getting to work. VIP had promised that the car would be done at noon. He called at noon after not hearing from them, and they had not even started the car yet. Ended up having my father-in-law drive 45 minutes here to pick Brandon up, to bring him 7 minutes down the road to pick up the car at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. It was when it was done. And if you're wondering, like, why didn't you just Uber? Uber's just not a huge thing around here. We live in a very small town, and honestly, I'm not even sure how long it would have taken to Uber versus have my father-in-law pick him up. You know, we didn't really want to pay for an Uber either, and VIP would not pay for any kind of transportation to get him there. So yeah, we won't be going back to VIP if anybody's wondering ever again. So we get the car, he gets it home. We're both like, okay, we made it through this. Brandon lost a day's wages, but it is what it is. We had to do what we had to do, and the car is good now. Drives beautifully. A lot of the like issues it was having the shaking issue, all of that was gone with the alignment being fixed. So we go into July in good spirits, and we have a great July for the most part. The beginning of July was great. We had people for the 4th. We did a lot of really, fun little outings. We went to the beach for the first time with Teddy, to the ocean. Brandon and I grew up 5 minutes from the beach, so we were very used to, as kids, just going for like a couple hours here and there. That was very typical for us, but now that we live more inland in central Maine, a beach trip is like a day trip now. And we finally felt comfortable with the age that he's at now to do the day trip, and it was awesome. He had a great time. He was a little bit afraid of the water, scared of the waves, but enjoyed picking up rocks and shells and building castles and running around. He had so much open space to run around. It was so great. And so that was a really good memory from this summer. So it wasn't all bad, but we're getting into the really bad now. So July is going by in a flash. We're getting to the end of July and we start talking about our wedding anniversary. It was our 5th wedding anniversary this year. It was quickly approaching and we were like, we're not going to do anything huge because we have a very large trip to Disney World planned in November. And so we were like, okay, what do we want to do instead? We want to do something special. Do we want to just go to dinner? And we ended up landing on the idea of like going away for the night, staying in a hotel, going to dinner, and maybe going to like a movie or to do something fun and just have like a little bit of a date night, but then also be able to stay out and not have to worry about getting up at 5 a.m. with Teddy. You know, it was like a little break. We were not able to get a sitter on the actual weekend of our anniversary, which ended up being fine, as you're about to find out. But we booked it for the second weekend in August. And so that was something we were looking forward to. The last week of July rolls around, so it's our anniversary week, and it's a Monday. I'm not feeling great. At the time, the wildfires in Canada were sending a lot of smoke into Maine, and our air quality was horrendous. They kept telling us, like, do not go outside. It's terrible to be outside. The air was like thick with smoke. The sky was like an orange tint. The sunsets were crazy. There was like neon orange sunsets happening because of all of the smoke in the air. It was wild. And it was predicted to be happening for like a week. So I had not been feeling great. I had a scratchy throat over the weekend going into the last week of July. I just figured it's from the wildfires. I have asthma. Makes perfect sense that my breathing and my throat is not going to feel great, my sinuses. But then on Monday afternoon, Brandon texted me and was like, I'm going to come home at lunch. I don't feel good. And that's when I knew something was wrong, because Brandon is not the type to leave work early for any kind of sickness. Like, he has to be incredibly sick to stay home. He is that type of person, like a little cold. He's just, nope, I'm still going to work. Yeah, he doesn't like to take days off from work at all. He likes to save his vacation time, which ironically, the year that he really needed to save vacation time, we have had a very hard time doing. Because of all of this, he's not feeling great. He ends up laying down for the rest of the day. I start feeling progressively worse as the day goes on. And the next day, we are all down for the count, including Teddy. He's sick too. All just non-functioning on the couch. Our sinuses were just horrendous. You had like a constant headache, dead center of your forehead, exhausted. You could feel like your sinuses were just completely filled, like all through your face. We had coughs and we had runny noses at the same time, which often doesn't come with like the congestion, but we did have that. And so every time you try to lay down, you had like post-nasal drip happening, you were coughing, your head was killing you. It was so hard to sleep. And that was half the issue, was that we were not sleeping. It was so hard to get any kind of rest, but you were just so exhausted. Teddy recovered after only a day, which arguably made things even harder, because after the first day, like, he felt much better. He was full energy and he wanted us to play and he wanted us to do stuff and take him outside, and we couldn't even go outside because of the air quality and how sick we were. And it was awful. It has been so long since I have been that sick, but Brennan was home from Monday afternoon till Thursday. He would try to drive into work and the exhaustion would hit him and he would have to turn around and come home. Like, he just could not do it. A lot of people at his work also had whatever this was, and yeah, it was going around at his work. So I'm pretty sure that he brought it home to us and we all caught it from there. Then after, you know, that week, our anniversary came on Friday and he had planned to take it off and actually couldn't because he had taken so much leave that week. So that was kind of a bummer, but we were like, no worries, we have anniversary plans next weekend. It's fine. We'll just have a low-key weekend at home. We got food from our favorite Mexican restaurant. We got margaritas and, you know, ordered it in as takeout. And then that weekend we pretty much just stayed home. And we had a very low-key time at home and just rested and got caught up on sleep. And that was pretty much it. And so we went into the following week with very high spirits. We were all feeling so much better. I remember like just being in such a good mood that whole week. You can tell I'm leading up to something, right? Right? So Thursday, 2 days before we are due to go away for our anniversary, Brandon leaves for work. It's like 5:45 in the morning. Teddy and I are on the couch watching cartoons. I'm kind of dozing on the couch, and my phone rings. And I look at my phone and I see that it's Brandon calling, and something in my brain just said, he's been in an accident. And sure enough, I pick up the phone and he's on the other end crying, telling me he's been in an accident. He was okay. I will preface this with he was okay, but the car was not. So he had been driving along and had a cat run out in front of the car, and his reaction was to not hit the cat, and he had swerved into a parked car that was like along the road that he was driving down. And it was a pickup truck. He had gone into the back of the pickup truck's bed and sliced like the right front panels off of my car, essentially. Ironically, that is the side where that tire blew only like a month before. But anyway, he starts sending me pictures and I'm like, okay, like this is not ideal. It definitely looks cosmetic though. Like they're going to just replace the panels. They had to replace like a mirror. I'm like, okay, this is a bummer, but I'm glad you're okay. He was beside himself with grief. He's like, this is our only car. I can't believe this just happened. I'm like, Brandon, I'm just glad you're okay. I'm glad you didn't get hurt. I'm glad there was nobody in that parked car. The people lived in the building that it was like right in front of, and they had come out and they were very nice to him. He said that they weren't even seemingly that worried about their vehicle. I'm sure they were worried, but like he said that they didn't really like yell at him or anything like that. There was a lady driving behind him. She had pulled over and she was like comforting him on the side of the road, and she had seen the cat and had given like a statement to the police like, yes, there was a cat, it ran out right in front of him. They tow my car and we get a notice from our insurance that the adjuster is going to be there the next day. So the next day I'm putting around the house. I'm in full confidence that I'm going to get a call that they're going to be transferring my car over to the body shop. The adjuster calls me and he informs me that my car is totaled. Apparently there was some frame damage and yeah, it was just going to be too expensive to fix. So he totaled it right then and there. I was devastated. My car was like the very first thing I ever bought, like myself as an adult. It was a 2018 RAV4 hybrid, and it was this really beautiful, like dark teal iridescent color. And I remember the day that I bought it. I had bought it as a lease to start when I was just out of college, and we have had it ever since. I bought it out of its lease before we bought our house. And it has just been my girl, my car. I was very attached to it, and when Brandon started his new job and had to leave his old company car behind, he took over driving it into work, and I was always just so worried about something happening to it just because of the influx of driving that it was doing. Because before that, I wasn't commuting anywhere anymore, and it was just here. And so this was like a true nightmare for me to have my car be totaled. And so I instantly get into this really stubborn mindset of like, I need this exact car again. I won't settle for anything less. I want this car and this car only. And so we start hunting for one, and let me tell you, they're not easy to find. We start car shopping that weekend in place of our anniversary trip. We did still go away for the night, but we spent the day car shopping instead of going and doing anything like fun. I didn't have my settlement yet, so I couldn't commit to anything, and one of the cars that we found that was just like my car actually sold before we got to the lot. The following week, I ended up finding another one that was just like my car, just a nicer trim level, so I was particularly excited. I had been conversing with the salesman all week about it. We made an appointment to go and see it. It had not even been cleaned yet. It was brand new to their lot. He assured me, I'm going to have it all cleaned up for you on Thursday of like that following week. We got on the way there and another salesman sold it. So we actually arrived to the dealership as they were doing the paperwork in the showroom for that car. And then I received my settlement the following morning, less than 24 hours later. So I just felt so defeated. I'm like, I'm not going to get my car back. Like, it's just gone. Like, I'm not going to get it back. That night we start looking online and we end up finding a listing for a 2017 Toyota Highlander, which is their bigger SUV. It's not their biggest, but it's a bigger SUV. And there was something about this car. We just pull up the listing and I really liked it right off the bat. It was fully loaded. Definitely a major upgrade to what I was driving before. More of a family car also. The price was right. So we went the following day and we looked at it and we bought it. And so that is actually a positive in this story, is that it worked out that we did end up with a really beautiful, nice car. And it did work out for the better because it is an upgrade from what I had before. And so that's been what's transpiring since June. I have filmed a bunch of content. I have like 4 videos lined up for you guys right now, but there has just been so many things happening that I have not gotten around to making any of this until now. We are finally in a better spot. And yeah, things are looking up. I will, however, mention that I have already had to make an insurance claim on my new car because the first week we had it, its windshield got hit by a rock and it cracked it. So it has a new windshield now. So we're all done, right? We're all done with the bad luck, right? I hope so. We're going into fall now. I'm hoping that we're coming into a better season of life here and that things can go a little bit smoother. We have a lot of things planned. We have a vacation planned. We've got all the usual holiday stuff planned, and I just hope we are through all of this and that we've paid our dues. Whatever the universe wanted, they've now taken, and we're good now, right? So I've been talking a long time, but I am going to still do this Q&A, and again, like, if you want to skip ahead or if you want to save this part for later, I don't blame you, because this was long-winded. But let's do the Q&A, because you guys sent some really awesome questions. All 5 of the questions I received were all very, very different from each other, so I like that. I don't have to combine any. They are all like completely different topics from each other. So the first question that I got was, did you like your Shark cordless vacuum? You've been using alternatives in your videos. So I am still using the Shark. If you guys see me in my videos using my little handheld vacuum, which I do a lot of spot cleaning with, that is my Shark. It just has a nozzle to do like handheld cleaning. I got that vacuum before we moved into our house when we lived in an apartment that had no carpet. And when we bought this house, our initial plan was to rip the carpet out of this house completely right out of the gate. And then that didn't happen because we realized the level of expense that would be to replace all of these floors. So as you guys know, we just redid the kitchen. That's always been hard floors, but the upstairs we've now ripped out the carpeting, so that's hardwood, but then the living room is still carpet, as is my grandmother's bedroom off the kitchen, that's still carpet. So what basically happened was I discovered that Shark cordless, it's the Shark Pet Rocket Pet Pro, one of those. It doesn't do carpet well, especially when you have a dog that has 3-inch long fur. We have a Shepherd Great Pyrenees mix, so her fur is crazy. We also have 3 cats, so it just wasn't doing its job with the carpet. So I ended up getting an alternative for the carpets specifically, and that is a Eureka Mighty Mite. And it does plug into the wall, it does take bags, but it has some serious power. I also bought a separate power head for it, which is specifically for carpet, and the power head was actually the same price as the vacuum. The vacuum was like $80 and the power head was like $80. So all in, it was like half the price of the Shark vacuum. I buy generic bags for it. I don't go through the Eureka brand, and the generics work great as well. You can buy like a pack of 20 or 50 of them. They're not super expensive. I really only have to change the bag out maybe every 3 to 4 times that I vacuum, and it just does the job. So I do enjoy it. I also do like my Shark, and I would buy a corded Shark, I think. If I ever needed another vacuum for carpet, I think I would buy a corded Shark vacuum. I do love the brand. It just wasn't intended for carpet. Like those stick vacuums with the batteries are great, but I really just feel that the ones that plug into the wall, the old school kind of vacuums, are the ones that are going to give you the power to really do your carpets right. That's just my opinion, but I do have both. So I definitely still recommend that Shark vacuum. It's great. It's holding out great. You know, I don't have any issues with it charging, nothing like that. It does a good job. But I also recommend, you know, getting a corded one if you have carpets. Okay, next question. Do you have a life bucket list? Places to travel, things to do, foods to eat, etc. I don't have anything like written down, but I can tell you as far as travel, I have a dream of going to the UK. I would absolutely love to go over to England, Ireland, and Scotland and do kind of a whole tour there, like a long vacation there. I have a specific bucket list item that I want to do, which is called the Tudor Royalty Experience. I believe it's at Hever Castle, although I think that they do it at a couple different places over there. But basically, you get dressed in traditional Tudor era clothing, and you can do like a stay at the castle, or you can just do it for the day and you kind of can walk around in the clothing. I have always been a huge historical person, and I have been fascinated by historical clothing since I was a little kid, especially the Tudor era, but I also really love like the 1780s era. I don't know. I just have always been very drawn to historical clothing. So that would be a really cool experience. I would also love to do the Harry Potter studio tour over there. I just think it's incredible. Like the sets and everything that they have there would be amazing to walk into. That was my childhood growing up. I know that Harry Potter at the moment is very controversial, but I have read through the book series, I can't even tell you how many times, and the movies are near and dear to my heart. And so, yeah, that is something that I would love to do. I know they do the tour also with the train, which is really cool. So just like a whole UK vacation would be amazing. I have never, ever, ever traveled out of the United States. So I would love that. I think that would be amazing. As far as travel in the United States, I eventually want to go to California. I also would love to go to Seattle one day. My aunt and uncle actually lived in Seattle for a while when they were in their 20s. This is going to sound corny, but I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan, and just, I don't know, I have always wanted to go to Seattle. Brandon really wants to do an Alaskan cruise. I can't say that's like my bucket list, but I think that would be amazing as well. And then something that's not travel related, I would love to see one of my favorite movies live with an orchestra. So Hans Zimmer with Pirates of the Caribbean. I would love to see Titanic live with an orchestra, Star Wars. They're actually coming to Portland, Maine to do Star Wars, or actually I think it's the Portland Symphony is doing Star Wars in the spring, and I would absolutely love to attend that. I just think that would be amazing to hear like everything live. Hans Zimmer is actually coming to Boston very soon, and we talked about going, but again, we're trying to save for our vacation this fall. So I definitely have a few things here and there. I'm always adding things, but those are the ones that came to mind when I read that question specifically. Okay, next question. Is your grandma still living with you? You rarely mention her in your videos. So yes, she is still living with me. I actually, ironically, you're right, I don't mention her a lot. But in my day in the life that I posted, I think it was 2 videos ago, I mentioned in that video that she just went to Vermont. My aunt lives there, my aunt and uncle live there, and she went for an entire week, and it was the first time since she had moved in that she had traveled anywhere, like outside of here. So I was by myself for a week for the first time since Teddy was like 9 months old. That was kind of crazy. But otherwise, yes, she is here all the time. She does not like being on camera. She doesn't like her photo taken. She doesn't like videos. None of that. So I do shoot around her, and she is very quiet anyway, but she's very quiet when I'm filming. So that's why you don't really realize she's here. But like I'll be filming and I'll be like in the same room as her filming or something, and she's like, you didn't get me in that, right? Because she just does not like being on camera. But she does still live with us, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. We had talked about her maybe doing assisted living, but the wait lists were crazy and the pricing is crazy, and we just kind of were like, you know, you're good here. You have your own space here, and honestly, like having her live with us has been extremely helpful in a lot of ways, as far as just me having a person here with me during the day with Teddy, and then, you know, she helps us out with the bills, like financially, like she does like a share of the bills, like whatever she wants to, you know, contribute, she's gonna do that, and so that's been really nice of her to do and really helpful for us. So yeah, she is still here. She's not gonna be in any of these videos. I can promise. How is Gypsy doing since her surgery? So I mentioned earlier she had surgery in mid-June. She's good. We did have her lump biopsied. Surprise, surprise, found out when she got to her surgery that the biopsy was actually not included in the price that they gave us. So that was fun. But we opted to do it. It was very expensive, but I could not do it because we were told that there was a high possibility that it was cancer, and I just was like, we need to know. Like, if we don't biopsy this, we're gonna forever just be questioning like every little thing with her if we don't know. So we had it biopsied, and it came back that it was a soft tissue sarcoma, and it's grade 1. So the good news is that grade 1, it had a very low possibility of having spread, but there is still a chance that it did spread. And they would not know this unless they did scans and stuff on her and further testing, which we have not had done. Basically, the instruction is to just monitor her right now, keep an eye on her skin. If anything pops up, we need to bring her in and have it tested. She did have like a bump on her head that I found right after her surgery, which I was a little annoyed by because I would have thought that they would have looked her all over during surgery. But anyway, we found it on the back of her head, and it went away. So I think she might have just dug herself, like scratched, and had a little bit of a scab or something there. It's very hard to check her skin because her fur is so dang long, but we have been trying to monitor her as closely as possible. She is fully healed. Her incision was huge. It was like 6 inches wide, 7 inches wide. It was massive across her whole back. They had to get, good margins on that bump. So they warned us that it was going to be really big. And yeah, I was not prepared. Of course, it was on a part of her back. She has a very long back where she could wiggle herself and like break her stitches. And they basically were like, try to keep her calm. And like, no, that wasn't happening. We tried, but within like 2 days, she was full energy again. She was itchy because her fur was growing back in. They shaved it. This massive patch on her back was shaved. They had her in a cone. We ended up getting her a donut to replace the cone so that she could eat and stuff, but still not get to her back because she's long enough she could whip herself around and she could bite at those stitches. And it took like 3 weeks for it to fully like stop bleeding and breaking open, but it did eventually heal, and now her fur is growing in, and it's almost to the point where you can't notice it. She'll go for her regular checkup next spring, and they will obviously be doing probably further blood testing and stuff now for the rest of her life to make sure that nothing is reoccurring. But as of right now, everything looks good, and yeah, we're just keeping a really close eye on her. The last question that I got was, are you thinking about getting more farm animals in the future? As of right now, no. We actually were just talking like 2 days ago about getting a rooster because we free range our girls all day, every day pretty much. They've been in more recently. They love the garage, and they will go in the garage and they poop everywhere. And it is disgusting and really hard to keep up with. They also will get into the trash. They're just feral. And so we've started to keep them in more often, unless it's like this beautiful, gorgeous day. Like today it's raining, so they're inside. They're in their run. They're nice and dry. Their run needs to be extended, which we're going to do, and then that'll allow for us to get more birds. I definitely think we'll get more chickens in the future. I don't know if it'll be next year, probably not. We've talked about getting ducks, and we've also talked about getting a rooster. Another animal that I have talked about wanting and have always wanted is a cow, but we are not set up for a cow. When we bought our house, the woman who sold us the house, she owns the land behind our house. We own a parcel of it in the front with our house, and then she owns the rest. And her house abuts the fields out back. Eventually, she would sell us that remaining 9 acres that she currently owns if she ever wanted to sell her house or just didn't want the land anymore. And hopefully we would be in a financial position to purchase the land at that point. Hopefully. But then at that point we would own all of the original like 11 acres that came with the house, and we would be a little bit better suited to have an animal like a cow. We'd be able to build a barn or structure for the cow and have the cow have its own pasture, but That is nowhere happening right now. That is a pipe dream. We will see. I don't know. But I would love to own a cow. They are so sweet. They are like dogs. Yeah, I don't know. I would just like want one and just have it be like a pet. Not even necessarily for milk or anything like that, just to have. Also, you know, we've talked about having goats, which I think we're both kind of against goats. I don't see a whole lot of value in goats, and they also are big time troublemakers. We've talked about, you know, like a pig. Pigs are very clean animals and, you know, very sweet, also very, very smart. But again, we're not really equipped for that right now, so I think, you know, we're going to stick with the birds for now and kind of go from there. But before we get any kind of animals, we're always doing like crazy research, and like we talk about things for like a year before we execute them. So, you know, we were almost going to go get a rooster the other day. There was a lady that had a free rooster around the corner, and we ended up not doing it because I was just like, no, like that's impulsive. So, you know, if we get one, it won't be for a little bit. We got to like discuss it and really like hash out the details, you know. But I truly love having my chickens. I just love them. Our new 4 babies are doing so well. All of 7 of them are doing great together. Our big girls are molting right now, so I'm hoping the babies are going to be laying their first eggs very soon because we're in an egg lull. Our big girls, they laid all summer beautifully and have just been, you know, happy little birds and have been just doing so great, and it's really fun. I love having chickens. So that is going to do it for this video. This was very long-winded and I've been talking for ages. I hope you guys' summers have been going well. Of course I know like things could always be worse, but we have truly had a lot of things happening in the past couple of months, and I'm hoping that we're coming into some normalcy now. And yeah, I hope you guys' summers have been a bit more, you know, smooth sailing than mine. We've been in a drought and it's raining out right now, so that is a welcome change. And today we are actually headed to the fair with Teddy tonight, our local fair, so that'll be really fun. And yeah, just a lot of really happy little things to look forward to in the fall. I love fall. You guys know it's my favorite season, so very, very excited for that. Thank you all again so much for watching. If you are not subscribed to my channel and you like this kind of content, if you like homemaking, life in Maine content, a little bit of parenting stuff sprinkled in here and there, definitely subscribe to my channel. That's what I try to do here. Like I said, I have 4 videos planned out right now. Is this included in one? Yes, it's this one, and then I've got 3 additional ones that I have filmed and are in the process of editing, so there is new content coming to you soon. So stick around for that, and I thank you all again so much for being here and supporting my channel. I will see you all in the next video.